Are you struggling as badly as I am with choosing an original screenplay winner at the Oscars? If so, you have come to the right place. And you know why? Because here at Oscar Obsessed ADHD, we let the cats decide. I know that might seem a little bit strange, but I'm telling you, with the 97th Academy Awards just right around the corner, fence was building and my ADHD brain was on overload. Those of you with ADHD know exactly what I'm talking about. That's right. Our executive function doesn't exactly work like everyone else's. And that's okay, right? We get to be different. That's what being neurodivergent is, right? There I am sitting the day after the BAFTAs, stuck in analysis paralysis, surrounded by papers, overthinking at an all-time high. And yes, I know this is only one of the 23 categories. However, each category that we get right, guys, helps my competition. And I mean, nothing like having ADHD and competition as your number one strength. Here I am, paralyzed in my thought process, wondering how in the world I will ever decide. My heart, my head, battling it out to choose a winner. Then my two cats, Dak and Sprout, come up to me. They lay on my computer, probably because it's warm, but I'm going to call it a sign. They walk on my papers and it hits me.
Then it hit me.
These papers that they're walking on, they're my fact and stat sheet. This is what they're telling me, that the answer lies in the data. It's been there the whole time. And this data is from the last 10 years of Best Original Screenplay winners. We're talking from all the four major awards, right? Oscars, BAFTA, WGA, Critics' Choice. I left out Golden Globes solely because, they combine their screenplay awards, so it didn't really help. This data takes into consideration how many screenplays are ineligible at the WGA because they're not written by a guild member or written under one of those like WGA collective bargaining agreements. I guess I just couldn't believe it. The answer was staring me in the face the whole time, and it took my cats to show me the winner. So I guess that's why, to me, I give them credit on this one. Based on the analysis, the cats, and I guess in turn myself, are predicting the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay to go to Coralie Farjat for The Substance. Here's how I came to my prediction. And I get it, guys. It's data, but it super excites me. So follow along. First, let's look at who we have for this year's Oscar contenders, right? We've got Anora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, September 5, and The Substance. So far, 3 of those have won the screenplay, right? We had The Substance took Critics' Choice, Anora won WGA, and then bam, BAFTA happens, and they give the original screenplay award to Jesse Eisenberg for A Real Pain, which I thought his speech was hilarious.
I do want to share this with my wife, who didn't come because she didn't think I'd win.
Whose wife doesn't come along? I guess in her defense, it was all the way in London, and they do have children. It was a funny speech. I loved it. Going back to how did I come to the decision, or should I say, how did the cats lead me to that decision? I came up with this result solely by looking at what has happened in the last 10 years in the Best Original Screenplay. And so we're looking at 2015 through 2024, so last year's Oscars. 5 of those years, right, the WGA winner actually went on to win the Oscars. However, it is a little bit notable that in 2 of those years, 2021, Promising Young Woman, and 2016 for Spotlight, all 4 of the major awards matched. I'm talking about BAFTA, Oscar, Critics' Choice, WGA, all went to Promising Young Woman and Spotlight. So this then leaves us 3 years where WGA and the Oscars matched. Okay, but in those 3 years, each one of the Oscar winners either won BAFTA or Critics' Choice Award before going on to win the Oscars. For those of you who are kind of data geeks like me, for your knowledge, in those other 3 years, in 2023 and 2018, BAFTA was the one that disagreed. They actually ended up choosing the Banshees of Inisherin compared to Everything Everywhere All at Once. Then in 2018, BAFTA chose 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which is a great film. However, everyone else that year went with Get Out. And then in 2020, which this really shouldn't surprise you when you hear what awards body it is, Critics' Choice went with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and everyone else went Parasite. So, go figure on that one. I'm like, this pattern doesn't hold true this year, so I had to look at the 5 years in which WGA and the Oscar winner were different. And it was like, voila, a lightning bolt hit, a trend emerged, and all of a sudden I saw that the 2 winners, the WGA and the Oscar winner, never faced off each other in both WGA and the Oscars. We never truly got to see them battle. We don't really know who the winner was. So in this case, it's a little bit like algebra. I know 3 of the 4 variables, and I'm trying to figure out the 4th using past data. I know my ADHD brain is totally on fire and geeking out, and I am loving every second of it. What I needed to do here was find what happened in those 5 mismatched years. Let's break it down. First year, last year, 2024. WGA ends up going to the holdover over Barbie. Critics' Choice chose Barbie over the holdovers. Now, Anatomy of the Fall, which won the BAFTA, was the only award show where we saw all of these nominees compete against each other. And that was because at the WGA and at Critics' Choice, Anatomy of the Fall wasn't eligible, and then at the Oscars, Barbie was considered an adaptive screenplay and not an original screenplay. And can somebody please answer me why these award shows don't all have the same rules? I mean, let's be honest, shouldn't a film either fit into one category or the other for all of them? But whatever, I don't make the rules. Then we go into 2017. Moonlight experiences the similar fate to Barbie did, and that was that it was nominated in original screenplay for every other award show except the Oscars. However, unlike Barbie, at least Moonlight ended up winning adaptive screenplay. Moonlight did win the WGA. Now, the Oscars and BAFTA went to Manchester by the Sea. Critics' Choice had La La Land and Manchester by the Sea ties. You kind of throw that year out, right? That one doesn't matter. That takes us into 2015. Oscars went with Birdman, which wasn't nominated at the WGA. WGA went with the Grand Budapest Hotel. Both Birdman and Grand Budapest Hotel were nominated at BAFTAs and Critics' Choice. No shock there, BAFTA goes the Grand Budapest Hotel, Critics' Choice goes Birdman, and that year, Critics' Choice got it right. Now, 2019 is a completely messed up year. And not just because for the reason you guys think. I know a lot of people are still very upset that Green Book won Best Picture. However, need I remind you that it also won Best Original Screenplay? Yes, it did. When it didn't even win a single one of the 3 precursor awards. That's right, it had lost all of them. WGA went with 8th Grade, BAFTA chose The Favorite, shocker, and Critics' Choice went to the film First Reformed. You might be thinking, well, Lisa, this is because there wasn't any crossover, right? They didn't compete against each other. Well, I hate to break it to you, but you'd be wrong. Yeah, so you're gonna have to kind of sit there in your wrongness for a little bit. At the Critics' Choice, actually all 4 of the films were nominated. That win went to First Reformed. At WGA, it was 8th Grade versus Green Book lost. Then at BAFTA, it was Green Book versus The Favorite, and Green Book lost. Then it comes down to Oscar time, and you would think all 4 would compete against each other. Nope, 8th Grade, the WGA winner, wasn't even nominated. So at the Oscars, it comes down to 3-time loser Green Book, versus the winners, The Favorite and First Reform. They end up battling it out. Oh my gosh, the Oscar goes to Green Book? Can someone explain to me how that one works? I don't know. But if you're keeping track, that brings us down to 1 year. And just like that 1 year, it meets the exact same criteria as this year. And that's where all 3 voting bodies are different before getting into the Oscars. And what year is that, you might be asking? 2022. So what exactly happened in 2022? Well, let's break it down. Critics' Choice happened first, right? And their award went to Belfast. Okay, awesome. Then WGA happens, kind of like this year, and they went with Don't Look Up. Belfast wasn't eligible for the WGA. Then BAFTA happens last, and the top 2 contenders that everyone thought were going to be Don't Look Up and Belfast. Yet, just like this year, BAFTA throws them for a loop and gives it to Licorice Pizza. Sound familiar? Licorice Pizza was eligible at the WGA. So, wait, now hold on. Don't Look beats Licorice Pizza at WGA. When all 3 compete, Licorice Pizza wins at BAFTA, and when all of them compete at Critics' Choice, the winner goes to Belfast. And so who ended up winning the Oscar that year? Well, let me see. That leads us to Belfast. Belfast won the Oscar. Yeah, I mean, let's just re-examine the voting results for this year, right? Critics' Choice happens first, it goes to Substance. Then all of a sudden, and by the way, Substance beat out Anora and A Real Pain at Critics' Choice. WGA awards Anora over A Real Pain. I mean, The Substance wasn't even eligible. And then BAFTA throws us for a shock, and they choose A Real Pain. And let's be real, prior to the BAFTAs, everybody thought it was Anora versus The Substance going into it. And I think a lot of people were giving that slight edge to Anora because of nothing more than speculative thinking. Basically figuring that, well, Anora won film festival awards, that must mean that it'll translate over into screenplay and we'll give them the screenplay award. And that approach has just proved misguided, right? Just because they won the film awards doesn't mean they're going to win the original screenplay. I know a lot of people were like, well, maybe this means A Real Pain has a chance at winning the Oscars, right? Because Oscar voters would know Critics' Choice, WGA, and BAFTA winners, right? Voting went from like February 11th till Tuesday the 18th. Yet based on stats, it doesn't stand a chance. And given how similar this year is to the 94th Academy Awards, it's right there. The cats were right. The data is telling me that the winner of the 97th Academy Awards for Best Original Screenplay will be Coralie Farjat for The Substance. I just don't know how I can argue with the cats and the data that they were trying to show me. So who do you have winning? Let me know in comments because I would love to have a discussion with you guys. I want to know why you're picking who you're picking. And let me know what you think about these statistics. Do they change your vote at all? And please make sure that you like and subscribe and click the little notification button because I will be dropping my SAG predictions in the next couple of days along with all my other Oscar picks. All of the films, all of the categories through my Oscar-obsessed ADHD point of view. Thanks, and until next time.